Speaking of teams kind of on Tobacco Road, let's talk about North Carolina, because while Duke is sitting here absolutely loading up, North Carolina is not doing the same. They've lost Caleb Love to the transfer portal, which could be addition by subtraction. And the two pieces that they've added, Jalen Withers and Paxton Wojcik. And I don't know if either of those, like those aren't, Kyle Filipowski coming back to school moves the needle. Tyrese Proctor coming back to school moves the needle. Does Jalen Withers or Paxton Wojcik move the needle for you, Jeff?
What do you think the answer is to that?
I think it's going to be a resounding no, sir.
A hell no. And with all this, with all respect to both those players and Paxton Wojcik in particular, because he's the son of Doug Wojcik, who I've known a long time, who's an assistant at Michigan State right now. They're pieces. And Jalen Withers, listen, I remember seeing him 2 years ago in practice in the preseason. I was like, this kid has a chance. He looks like an NBA player, but he's not an NBA player because he doesn't play with the motor of an NBA player. He's got to play harder. He's been on, two different coaches over the last couple of, really three, when you talk about Chris Mack, Mike Pegues, and then Kenny Payne. He's been a part of kind of a losing culture the last couple of years, and that scares me. And the productivity just wasn't there. So to me, he's a roll of the dice. Paxton Wojcik is a good piece, but you need dudes to play with RJ Davis and Armando Bacot right now. You need guys like these are pieces, but they've got enough pieces. Seth Trimble, I think, could take the next step. I hope he does at Carolina, and he can form a really good backcourt with RJ Davis next year. But they need another dude on the wing. That's to me the biggest thing they're lacking right now is a big time wing scorer.
Would Harrison Ingram be that guy? Would he be enough?
I mean, he'll help. I mean, he's number 4 on my board right now of available transfers. Some might think that's high, but Harrison Ingram's still talented. Again, didn't do as much as we thought, last year at Stanford, but he was productive in the Pac-12. He's still a player who you can plug in there and he can make a difference for him. Is there we're still early on. There's still some other guys that are going to go in the portal, but as of right now, I would say yes, Harrison Ingram, can help them. He's not a great shooter. That's the only thing I worry about with Harrison Ingram. And I think Carolina needs shooting, and that's why they got Paxton Wojcik. I
was going to say that's the one argument. I agree with everything that you just said, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here and just kind of argue in favor of Carolina, because I don't. If the process that Hubert Davis is going through right now is he's saying, all right, look, RJ Davis is going to be our guy and Armando Bacot is going to be our guy, and we're going to build what we do around those two. And let our stars be stars and let those two guys be stars. And then what they're doing is adding a guy in Jalen Withers that shot 41% from 3 last season as a 6'9", kind of probably call him a stretch 4. Like that's probably the best way to kind of phrase what he is. Although if you want to know the issues with Louisville last season, there were times that he was playing the 2, right? That's not ideal. Yeah, then you add in Paxton Wojcik, who averaged 14 points, 3.5 assists, shot 38% from 3 as an off guard at Brown last season in a better Ivy League than people realize. You add those two guys, you got some shooting, you got somebody that can space the floor. You're going to be able to create space for Armando Bacot to work in the paint. Then you add a guy like Harrison Ingram, who's a big athletic wing, who I think is probably, I would say is a better shooter than what his numbers have kind of said. But you add those 3 guys to that group that you have right now with some of the pieces coming back, like I can see it. If Hubert is saying, I trust that RJ Davis and Armando Bacot are the guys that are good enough to get us back to the top of the ACC, okay, I can kind of understand it a little bit. I don't know if that's the way that I would necessarily do it, but I do think RJ Davis is terrific. And I think Armando Bacot in the right setting is terrific. My big question with this group is, I think we saw it last year, the leadership aspect, right?
Yeah.
Do they have that? Do they have someone that can kind of, like we talked about it? Armando's not really that guy, right?
No, he's not, but maybe he'll grow a little bit more into that guy. Maybe it's just the dynamic changes now that Caleb Love is gone, right? Maybe those guys are forced to take on more leadership they know they're the only two left at this point.
Mhm.
But they need shooting around him. They got to have shooting around him.
Yes, I agree. And adding piece, like you need role players. The one thing I will say is if you look at kind of what UConn did last year in the portal, where they just said, look, we're going to bet on Andre Jackson, Jordan Hawkins, and Adama Sanogo to be good enough. And
Yep.
we're just going to fill it out with pieces around them that we need. I think that model could work. I don't know if these are the right guys to do it, but I'm willing to let it kind of play out.